everybody, it's Romania Black, and we are on episode 7 of Bungo Stray Dogs season 4. This season has really kicked off from the get-go, right out of the gate. This season has been really good. And I think that's a testament to Bungo Stray Dogs, because we're on the 4th season of this show, and it's still this good, and maybe is some of the best it's been in a long time. I already like the season more than season 3, if I'm being honest. And we're just now to the halfway point with this episode. It's going by so quickly, but I've got lots of comments to talk about, lots of things to talk about before we start this episode. Last episode, I kind of freaked out because it was like, wait, what? So I'm entering tonight very, very hyped. Very excited. I wore this Edgar Allan Poe shirt because I wanted to support Poe. If anybody's going to help Rampo and Atsushi now, it needs to be Poe. But we got lots of things to talk about, so we need to go ahead and get into these comments before we get started with this episode. But Nikolai maybe is dead. Who knows? We were talking in the comments. I'm not sure if Nikolai is dead. We'll talk about that here in a minute, but anyway, Wim, we were talking in the Discord after the episode, because I watched the episode and then got on the Discord, and Wim was pointing out, I didn't even notice this last episode. Y'all have probably commented way more than I realized about it now, but Dana and Wim were talking about the white-haired individual with the red tips that has arrested Dazai. We don't have a name yet. Not yet. We're going to find out, I'm sure. But I was joking. I was like, oh, it's like a mystery Todoroki because he looks like a Todoroki. And they were like, yeah, isn't that funny? What a coincidence. And I'm like, yeah, because Bones does My Hero Academia and they do, Bungo Stray Dogs. And then Dana and Wim were like, no. They're like, the mystery Todoroki is voiced by Yuki Kaji. And I was like, what? So I went back and instantly re-listened, and it is Yuki Kaji who voices Shoto Todoroki from My Hero Academia. And I was like, what a coinkydink! They just looked at that guy and was like, hey, Yuki Kaji, you're typecast, right? At least for Bones. I thought that was great. Irenaeus, I've probably said it wrong, so I'm sorry. Talked about in season 3, Dazai knows what the book's powers are. He learned back in season 3 from Fyodor when they were in the alleyway right before he was sniped. And I was like, yes, that is correct. I had forgotten about that. I'm glad they reminded me about it. Yes, that has happened. So it makes all the sense if the hunting dogs, who I'm assuming are what this group is called, that has arrested Dazai, it makes sense that they would try to get Dazai out of the picture because Dazai knows about the book. He knows what it does. So thus, Dazai's incredibly smart. He would try to piece things together. So let's get him out of the picture before he starts to put 2 and 2 together and tells the ADA. Makes sense, right? Dark Moon B said that in episode 5 of this season, the driver showed his ID to the police, and his name on the ID was Akaki Akigevich. And that's funny because that's the name of the main character in Nikolai's story, The Overcoat. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. Little Easter eggs like that, I love. I'm like, that is just perfection. I love it. That was so cool, Dark Moon. I'm so glad you brought that up. I will say this. Jufli noted that Bungo Stray Dogs has always been about moral grayness, about how there is no, there are heroes technically in the story, but they're more like protagonists and antagonists. There's not really heroes and villains because every character in the show has some form of moral grayness. It's kind of what makes Bungo Stray Dogs kind of unique in that every character kind of has a dark side to them, and the show doesn't hide away from that or try to make an excuse for it, right? So the government sure is corrupt in this world, but the ADA's, the crimes against the ADA that have been brought out by reversing Mushitaro's ability, they're not lies. Kyoka has killed those people. Kunikita had a hand in that girl's death. Fukazawa killed all those people. They're characters that do have blood on their hands. Yasano apparently killed a patient. But the thing about it is that Bungo Stray Dogs points out how, as Dazai said, it's not the end of your life if you've done something bad. It doesn't mean you can't redeem yourself or move forward. So I find that really interesting, right? But I also want to know that the only ones that technically have not murdered anybody are the ones on the run. So Atsushi and Rampo technically have not murdered anybody. So that's kind of interesting. And so I'm curious if they're going to connect maybe. I will find it curious if Rampo connects with Poe and if Atsushi will connect to Akutagawa. I talked about this in the last discussion, if they will connect with them. And Akutagawa, according to Atsushi, is supposedly not supposed to kill anybody for 6 months. So is that going to tie to everything? We'll see, right? And does this all connect back to Dazai's notion about sinners and life being interesting with them in it, right? And how does this connect to Fjordor? Now, Jufli pointed something out, and in these next couple comments, I'm going to be like, oh, they're so tiptoeing the line of spoilers, and I almost was like, I don't want to hear, but they were like, I can't get it out of my mind now. It's done. Once I've read it, it's never leaving my mind. So, but Jufli was like, the overcoat was not on Nikolai when he cut himself in half. And I was like, oh, dang it. If that is revealed to be the trick of why he lives, I'm going to be super bummed. I'm going to be like, no. So please, 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 if you have theories, don't tell me. I don't want to hear them in the comment unless you spoiler tag. If you all want to talk in the Discord and black box it, go right ahead. I want to be ignorant. I don't want to know. I don't want to hear theories. I don't want to hear anything, even if you're anime only, because I'm afraid that theory is going to ruin the surprise for me as a reactor. So please don't tell me. Moving forward, please don't tell me until we go. Now, once it happens in the episode, if it comes out that way, you can be like, oh man, I thought it was going to be this, or I thought that it was that and I was right. Awesome. Can't wait to read about it. But I don't want to know moving forward. So please do not give me any hints, clues, or theories. Let me be ignorant. Let me be blind. I want to answer comments, but I won't if people spoil me. So please don't do that. But yeah, so I don't know. And then Dana talked about, I really love Dana's comment because I totally agree with it. When I started Bungo Stray Dogs, people were telling me, I was like, oh, this is a pretty cool shonen. And they're like, no, it's a seinen. And I was like, oh, well, yeah. I was like, yeah, okay. I mean, I don't know why it's a seinen. It's pretty much got a lot of tropes that are pretty typical of shonen. No, I get it now. I get it now with this last episode. And Dana was saying that this season is really it's the mangaka transitioning, being like, because if you've read the manga for Bungo Stray Dogs, it's always kind of had this macabre, kind of creepy look to the art style, and I love it so much. But I do agree that this season seems to be the mangaka kind of towing and being like, okay, I've kind of set up some creepy things. Now we're going to see them all come full circle and we're going to go all in on the sign-in route. And I'm here for it. I'm like, yes. Last episode was such a jarring revelation because it was like, oh, we're going to be gory. We're going to be horrific. We're going to be getting some deep concepts. Yes, show. Please show. So I'm here for it, but I love that. Now, again, this to me is a spoiler, but I'm going to let it slide, but please don't tell me these things. In the comment, it was said that Nikolai can't be the writer because supposedly things with the book have to happen in real time. That is a spoiler to me. Please do not tell me anything that is explaining things relating to the plot. I want to find out when it happens in the episode. I do not want to know about it in the comments. I don't want explanations. I don't want corrections. I want to experience this as if I've had no outside interference. Okay. So please don't do that because I thought that, I didn't know because that takes away part of my guesswork, part of my theorizing, part of my excitement. It just bums me a little. So don't do that, please. So apparently someone else is writing in the book. It's not Nikolai. Which I thought it was. So we can rule him out. So my next thought immediately goes to Fjordor. But how did Fjordor get the book? Why would Fjordor? I don't know. There's lots of questions, but I'm like, I don't want to get upset. So I'm like, just don't. But anyway. And then Dazai, I do think that it is sad that Dazai said his past has been, it's like when he got arrested, his past was brought back almost like he wasn't able to fulfill Oda's promise. Like he told Oda he would become he basically internally promised Oda he'd become a better person. And the moment he gets arrested, the first thing that's brought up is all the murders and all the crimes he's committed. And that kind of fake smile he had on his face was him being like, I've tried all these years to be a better person and it just comes right back into my face. And it's really sad. So yeah. So, also finally, Tanizaki holding the ignition and starter to the chainsaws is a nice callback, Dana said, to, of season 1 when he was in charge of being the bomber in Atsushi's entrance exam. Crazy stuff. Lots of parallels. So please no spoilers. If you comment down below, either use a spoiler tag. Do not confirm or deconfirm my theories. Please don't tell me your own theories. Spoiler tag them if you all want to talk amongst yourselves about your own theories, but I don't want to read them. I want to encounter the story, especially a story like this that is so based in mystery and intrigue. I don't want to know plot details or explanations of how things work. I want to experience it and figure it out on my own, because that's part of the fun, right? So, with that being said, I'm really excited to get into this episode and see what the hell happens, right? So, I know everybody gets excited, but please, for my sake, it's so easy. All you have to do is spoiler tag or black box. That's all you got to do. And so, it's the easiest thing in the world, and it will alleviate 90% of my anxiety. So, in any case, I hope y'all are ready. I'm really excited, but we are going to dive into Bungo Stray Dogs, Season 4, Episode 7, and see what the hell happens. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's do this. Talented, brilliant, amazing, show-stopping, spectacular, never the same, totally unique, completely never done before. I feel like Lady Gaga just sitting here just raving about this episode. This is so good. This is so good. Oh my God. I mean, can't say never been done before, but oh my gosh, we're getting F-bombs thrown around. We're getting gore. We're getting people nearly being decapitated. It's just like Bungo Stray Dogs. The mangaka was like, okay, we're a Seiren now. You ready? So I'm like, oh my God, bless Atsushi's heart. He was not aware. I'm predicting Akutagawa is going to show up to help Atsushi, especially with Kyoka and Atsushi there. Akutagawa is showing up. If Chuya is showing up to help them, Akutagawa is showing up to help them, right? Because they're split in two, right? And as far as Rampo goes, I'm fully convinced that my theory last episode was that Atsushi was going to get the Port Mafia to help. I think that is going to be the case with Atsushi and Kyoka and with Kunikita and the others. I think the Port Mafia are helping them. I still believe that Rampo is going to get helped out by Poe and the Guild. I think that in order to clear the ADA's innocence, in order to make this all work out, we're going to have the Guild and the Port Mafia have to get involved. Everybody's going to have to get involved to take down Fjordor. That's just going to have to happen. And we were talking about this in the Discord. I don't think it's going to happen this season. We're already on episode 7, and we've barely scratched the surface of the hunting dogs, much less what else is going on in this scenario. So no, I am fully expecting that this season is going to be setting up the situation, and then season 5 is going to be, now, how do we solve it? What do we go and do with that? So I fully expect that is going to be it. I think that this is a setup season. It's damn good. This season's amazing. And I'm just like on the edge of my seat going, what the hell? So yeah, that's where we're at. But there's lots of things to talk about here. We're only going to do one of the hunting dogs for this video. I know we got all of their names, but my thing is I don't really want to research them until we have them state their name of their power and use it, right? I'm sure some of them may have already been using their ability, but until they say it and put it into practice, I don't want to look them up yet. Like Nikolai, he used his power, the overcoat, last episode, so I felt like even though he didn't name it, he did use it and show what its power did and explained it, so I felt like I could look him up. The only one that we can look up really is Techo, a Suhiro. We're going to look up him and then Plum Blossoms and Snow and talk about that here in a little bit. But oh my God, this episode, I was thinking in my head before we started, I was going to wait and see how it played out, but I had all these ideas of like, oh, well, they can get out by doing this or doing that. And then the show went, no, not really. I was like, ah! So, okay, we need to talk about this. We need to talk about this show in earnest and just go along. And my dog is like, so now that I've watched you scream, you'll play with me, right? So the whole thing with Rampo, the reality altering book really planned out things ahead of time. It's like the Death Note on steroids is what it is. So it planned out for Rampo to be caught stabbing the president, even though he didn't do it, right? And the president is like, no, I know you didn't do it, so I'm still alive. So Rampo is being wanted. So great. Now Rampo's wanted for murder. Atsushi's technically the only one that hasn't done anything because he was stuck in the concrete, right? As far as we know. But Rampo was, so he went out the window. I think that he is going to be saved by Poe, because it wouldn't surprise me if Poe was following him because he's his rival fanboy, and was just following him. I wouldn't be surprised if Poe was saved by him. My theory is that he is going to go and get assistance from the guild. Right? I honestly could see that. I could see Poe standing up for Rampo and being like, oh, come on, Fitzgerald, or whatever. And hold on, I dropped my marker. Ugh. But yeah, I could very well see Poe being like, well, can't we help? The question, though, is Fitzgerald technically is still in charge of the guild, but he's been absent, so Steinbeck's taken over. I could see Fitzgerald and Rampo agreeing to work together. I could see it. I don't know. Steinbeck's pretty straight-laced, but kind of like Kunikita in a way. So maybe Rampo could reach him logically. Maybe. But there is this hint. There is this thing pointed out that Rampo, he does not believe that the book is made by a gifted. He's like, no, this is a little beyond that. He thinks it is from a higher power that has created this book. Yeah, there's been lots of talks about angels and demons in this series, and they just called Yasano the Angel of Death in this one. But my thing is, no, we've established Lovecraft is a literal monster. He is not of this earth. He is a literal monster that just came up to help out the guild, and now he's gone back. If Lovecraft can exist and be otherworldly and not human, it is totally within the realm of reason that a higher power created this book, and somehow it fell to earth like a damn Death Note and is being used, right? Some of the case. We still don't know where Natsumi is. We don't know where he is at in all of this. Dazai, where are they containing him at? So I want to put up questions. I want to put on the board questions. Let me find a good marker here. Questions that we can ask. I'm going to put them up here. Questions that I have going into the next episode. One is Nikolai. Is he dead? It's going to kind of suck if he is dead because we only saw him for like 2 episodes. But then if he isn't, I wouldn't be surprised. Dazai. Where is he? Is he where Mushitaro is? Maybe. I don't know. Be kind of cool if Dazai and Mushitaro got to talk to one another. In the OP, it makes it seem like him and Fjordor are going to talk. And I'm like, they're both crazy. And so there's that question. Where's Natsumi? Natsumi, what is he? His knowledge of the book. Natsumi, I would not be surprised if he knows all. I wouldn't be surprised if Natsumi wrote the book. I wouldn't be surprised at all either. Or if he found it. Who knows? And then obviously is the guild going to get... The Port Mafia has been involved, obviously, because Mori's like, my man Fukazawa's in trouble. I always feel like Mori sounds like a character off of Team Rocket. Like it's what he sounds like, and Chuya's like Meowth, you know? So we know that the Port Mafia is involved. Now what about the guild? I think the guild's going to get involved because here's the thing. I think that Fitzgerald's already worked with Dazai once. Wouldn't be surprised if he worked with him again. But I feel like Rampo could make the case to the guild being like, look, Fjordor's coming after us. It is only a matter of time if they're trying to eliminate all gifted. It is only a matter of time before they come for you all next. So we either need to band together to save our skins or we're all going to fall. It's like united we stand, divided we fall sort of situation. We need to do an Avengers-style team up in order to take down Fjordor, or it's all going to come crashing down. Now, the question is, along with the guild, there is the clock tower, which is Agatha Christie's group. Are they going to get involved? Is that group going to get involved? And we don't know that yet. So those are questions to be maintained and to kind of think about and stew upon. But I do like that Rampo does not seem to get nervous when he sees the knife in his hand. When he sees all that, he's like, okay, he figures out, he's like, yes, I know exactly what's happened. They've tampered with something in reality has been tampered with. And he's seen this firsthand through Mushitaro. So it's almost like Mushitaro's ability to alter reality has kind of, eased Rampo into this idea that, yes, they are gifted with reality altering abilities. They are dangerous. And this is something that's happening. we've got to just roll with it, right? I'm glad he doesn't get freaked out by the camera footage. Meanwhile, the one guy says the armed detective agency is the one that's in charge of the murder. And Yasano and Kunakita, I have shipped them for a while now, and it's all been very hush-hush. I've been like, I kind of ship them, yeah, no. I'm like, this episode, I'm like, yes, girl, save your man. So I'm going to put Yasano up here. Yasano, she saves Kunakita back at the beginning of this episode, and then vice versa against, we're going to put the HD for the hunting dogs there. So yeah, she saves him. Girl, like, this episode, this series, we are not afraid to get down and grisly in this, right? Not afraid at all, because she saves him, and he's like, Tanizaki, there are snipers. Hide us using your ability. And then they say that they're going to use, like, infrared goggles and all this encryption devices being issued. But Kunakita notes that they've used them with them before, so they are able to, like, imitate them using his power. But the guy saying a band of murderers disguised as good men. So there's this big old conversation happening in all of this about murderers being good men. And if it's possible. That's the big question in Bungo Stray Dogs is, can you move forward and become a good person despite the bad that you've done in your life? It's kind of this idea of repentance and, atonement, and can you make yourself a better person? Dazai, throughout all of these years, has tried to live by Oda's example and try to be a better person, right? And it all just keeps coming back to bite him. So yeah, a big theme in this story is it possible for you to move forward after doing horrible things and become a better person? Is it even feasible? And this guy is saying that it's not. So it's like, oh my God. And then the time of reckoning has come. And he's like, we're going to be surrounded. And so they get a hold of Rampo. He says that Chief Tanada has received treatment. He's on the run. He may testify on our beliefs if he regains consciousness, but I don't have much hope that he will. And he's like, this is the work of the reality-altering book. The chief said the book may have been made by gifted, but I doubt that. He's like, it's from an even higher power than any gifted. Case in point, Mushitaro's reality-altering ability wasn't able to overwrite people's memories. So he's like, Mushitaro had the ability to alter reality, but he couldn't change people's memories, right? He couldn't change the biological concept of how you're shaped and how your mind works. But that's happening this time. He's like, I have memories of us abducting the hostages and killing them. So yeah, this is a thing too. The book, if we talk about the book, I'm going to put it over here. The book is not only able to alter physical reality, but it can alter memories. That is freaking disturbing. The fact that it can alter memories to where Kyoka thinks that they did take the hostages and they did kill them, even when they know that they didn't. So yeah, so Rampo makes the point that if they get captured, then they're going to use a gifted that can read their minds, and they're screwed. That's what my whole thing was. I was like, well, if they get captured, they can prove their innocence. At this point, how? Because their memories are now showing that they kidnapped them and killed them. So what do we do? That's just like, that's insanity, that it's altering the way that they think. And Tanizaki seems very, very terrified about all of this. Because, yeah, we see Tanizaki with the red eye, Kunakita with the glasses, Yasano with the axe in her hand, and Kyoka with the one eye, right? And Tanazaki's going through it, man. He is having a fit about this. He's like, if we're caught, the government has gifted who can read memories. If they investigate us, we'll be sentenced to death. And then he basically jumps out of the window. Tanizaki, he's having it hard, right? This is it. And then we have the OP. Okay, I wanted to go to the OP and just check one thing at the beginning of this, right? I wanted to check one thing, which is about the hunting dogs. Because they say that there's a 5th hunting dog, but nobody knows who it is, right? And we have Fyodor. Okay. All right, so we have, yes, there is a hunting dog whose back is turned to us. Son of a bitch. Yeah, because we see the other 4 looking towards the camera, and there's one whose back is turned. You would not reveal that to us. How dare you? How dare you not show us who that is? We don't know all about the Decay of the Angels either. We know there's 3 members we haven't met, but there's only 1 in the OP that we see. Well, there's a coffin, so that could be. And who knows? Maybe a member of the Decay of Angels is also a hunting dog. We don't know if there's an overlap. Could be. Don't know. But yeah, I just, everything red and blue, red versus blue. I find it funny that you have Fukuzawa in the red and Mori in the blue. And then when you cut to Atsushi, it's him in the blue and Octagawa in the red. The Shinsokoku, you know. Ongo in this is interesting because I'm like, what is Ongo going to do about this? And then Chuya, what a badass. But then, okay, that is definitely Dazai and Fyodor talking to one another in whatever, in the Mind Palace that they are in. And then Dazai saying something to Octagawa, of course. So yeah, the fact that the leader of the hunting dogs, his ability is named Mirror Lion. I was like, well, Fukuzawa likes cats, so maybe him and Fukuzawa got along at one point. And Atsushi's a tiger, so a tiger versus a lion. Octagawa's surrounded by cats. Good thing he's a cat guy. But yeah, what the hell we doing? I am excited that we'll have these 2 face off against him, though. That should be fun. And then Kyoka and Atsushi. And then the guild members are also in the OP, so I'm sure that they're going to work with them. So yeah, the idea that Yasano used her ability, they all stabbed each other, and then she used her ability to basically heal them. Like, they basically committed suicide, and then she brought them back from the dead. Which is funny, he calls her the Angel of Death, when she has the ability to not kill people, but rather to heal them. That's the crazy thing, right? Isn't it? I think it is. But man, the gore, the violence, this show has not been afraid to go there. And I'm kind of enthralled by it, honestly. And then Kunikita, I love her ability, Thou Shalt Not Die, and I love the butterflies rising up. Like, the butterflies are gorgeous. I love that idea that we see her ability being used. We've never really seen her ability be used, right? I don't think so. We've always seen like her with the sword in their hands being like, I've got to kill you in order to make you better. And we see the after effects of it. But you know it's bad when Yasano uses her ability and there's not the comedic glow that everyone has when she's used it in the past. Everyone has that little comedic glow and they're like, there's no time for that now. Like, we don't have time for that. So that's when you know things are real. We don't have time to like make fun of Yasano's ability. But I don't think we've seen it used before. So that's really, really cool. And then Kunikita, who is kind to the end, tells him, like, you need to call for help if you're going to survive. Kunikita with his ideals. And, oh my god, the one hunting dog is calling it all into question. I'm just like, oh my god. As soon as this damn, like, this spaceship lands in the ground, as soon as it did, all I could think of was the Ginyu Force. And if you don't know what that is, the Ginyu Force is a troop of super powerful warriors that the villain Frieza enlists to help stop our protagonist in Dragon Ball Z. It's a deep cut. But I love Dragon Ball Z. So as soon as I saw him come out, I was like, are you going to do like a crazy pose? Is that it? And the mysterious 5th member is not present. Imagine that. Interesting. But yeah, he just pops out being all jovial. This aircraft's great for shoulder pain. Oh my god. He looks like an older Bokuto from Haikyuu. He looks like Bokuto with a mustache is honestly what he looks like. He's got the tiger claw scratches, which is fun. Is he Atsushi? I feel like now that we know that the one guy is like Mystery Todoroki, I feel like he's going to look at Atsushi and they're going to be like, are you his father? Is he the mysterious father? What if he was Atsushi's dad? He has the gray hair, the silver hair. tiger powers, lion powers. I just feel like the guy that Yuki Kaji is voicing should be like, are you secretly his love child? No, I don't think so at all, but it's fun crack theory, right? We got these two silver-haired guys with cat abilities. And so, yeah, I love how annoyed he is. Like, as soon as they kind of like try to accuse him of being involved in the agency, he's like, really? He's like, it's a horrible ride. I can't even scratch my own ass. And then the one guy grabbed the gun as it fired and grabbed the bullet, like, from the air. His power is interesting. Juno, I want to know. I don't want to know his power from anybody in the comments. We're going to figure it out when it happens in the episode, but I'm very curious to know what he can do, because his power seems interesting, right? He's like, how many times do I have to tell you? And he took the bullet. Don't give our troops a heart attack for no reason. Okay. And that means he's the legendary. And they figure out who it is. Took them long enough, right? These men are here to back us up from the military police's most powerful force, the hunting dogs. And Kunikita knows who they are, which is interesting. I find it funny, Yuki Kaji's voice as Juno, his voice is like, it's not Eren Yeager. It's not him, but it's not as soft as Shoto Todoroki. It's closer to Mei from Ace of the Diamond, but it's not quite as cocky as Mei's. It's curious because you can't really, it's hard to tell. It's kind of in between Shoto Todoroki and Mei Naramiya from Ace of the Diamond. It's somewhere in between those two. It's not quite Eren Yeager though. It's too playful to be Eren's. Yeah, no. Too playful. And then the others showing up, right? And of course the one guy like uses his sword to like slice up the ship. Like, dude, there was probably a door. He's like, I has to show off. The one girl, the girl who's the vice captain, she like at the moment she said, show me the guilty's blood. I was like, are you Power from Chainsaw Man? She's kind of a cross between Power from Chainsaw Man and Cruel from Seraph of the End. She's like a merging of those two characters, which I love both of those characters. So I'm kind of all here for her and her little violent gremlin self. They call her a gremlin, so I feel like I can do the same. It's like, our gremlin is angry. And he's like, that's not funny, Captain. If the vice captain goes on a rampage, we're all dead. So she like has this like, she's got like a juggernaut style rollout ability. Is she like Miltank where she's just going to roll out and that's the end of it? There's a lot of these characters' abilities who have ties to the word soul, which makes me scared. Also, this mangaka, all the OP characters are short with red hair. Right? Short with red hair. I swear if Dazai flirts with her, he's got a type and we're done. Like, if he flirts with her, then it will be her, Chuya, Onosaku, like all the redheads. Like, just, Tanizaki, watch yourself. So, anyway, we get these characters. She has a sword. She's so cute. I love her design. I love her hair. I love the jewel. I love her spunk. I love it. She's like wanting to chop up everybody for her bonsai trees. It's great. Teruko. He's like, I'm counting on you today. She's like, Okies, Captain. And she's upset. Girl has a kink she has a daddy kink and she's all about it. We're here for it, girl. She has got it bad for her lion boss. She said, I'll put my life on the line and be your loyal dog. Oh my God. I can't. I love it. It gives me a Gentle Criminal La Brava vibe, which again, My Hero Academia. Just the short little red-haired girl and this tall silver-haired man who's kind of like has this like gentlemanly air about him. Very La Brava and Gentle Criminal. Very, very much so. They're the hunting dogs. That's right. The elite 5-member team comprised of the best of all forces throughout the country. A special suppression squad A-team. So the leader is Fukuchi Ochi. Okay, so we have our roll credits, our team list here. We've got Fukuchi Ochi, whose skill is Mirror Lion. I will make some guesses about these abilities and what they do, but I'm probably wrong, but it wouldn't be fun if I didn't make some guesses. Mirror Lion sounds like he either takes abilities and amplifies them, or he like copies people's abilities to a greater extent. He only has the tiger scratches on one side of his face and the lion claw scratches. So curious. I wonder if he copies abilities with more power. Maybe. So we have him. Then they said the blind king who can comprehend any situation with superhuman senses. Juno Sagiku. So we have Jono Sagiku, the blind king, which we'll talk about that, who can sense with superhuman senses. Priceless tears are his ability. Priceless tears. I don't know. If he's blind, his ability almost makes me sense maybe he has like, but he just like popped into that car out of nowhere. Like he was able to like do superhuman. So is he able to amplify his senses other than sight? Like, but he just popped into that car like it was nothing. His is the most that I'm like, I don't know what to make of his ability until we see it. We'll see how that goes. And then we have the most capable combatant in the squad. So the combatant is Suhiro, which we're going to go over him in a minute. Techo. And his is Plum Blossoms in Snow. I love that he has like a pink and green theme to him. It's a great color combo. And he's got like the 3 little tears. And then feared by her allies and feared even more by her enemies. Okuro Teruko. Okuro Teruko. And her ability is Gasp of the Soul. Gasp of the Soul is interesting. I don't know what to make of that one either. Mirror Lion seems the most obvious, but Gasp of the Soul seems like it seems like an OP ability. It seems OP. The Queen of Bloody Thorns. Well, he said something about her being on a rampage and being unable to stop. I feel like maybe she's like a rampaging type that once she gets going, you can't stop her. Kind of like Chuya, only maybe like a melee style. Chuya relies on like a gravitational supernatural ability. Maybe hers is like physical. Once she starts fighting something, you can't stop her. I don't know. She's super. I love her design though. There are only 4 here. And then he says, where's the 5th? And they're like, no one knows the 5th. Of course no one knows. He's infiltrating another organization. So maybe if he's infiltrating another organization, is he with the guild? Is he with the port mafia? Is he with the clock tower? Is he with Fjordor's group? I doubt that because Fjordor seems to want these guys to be here. And he's like, you're the commander on site, correct? And so they're like, leave the rest to us and have some tea. Such vicious criminals betraying human morals will be shredded by the fangs of the hunting dogs. Now, that's interesting because I wonder if he knows Fukuzawa. Does he really think Fukuzawa is a criminal? Or did they have a falling out? Or what's the deal? Because he seems to know him. Maybe is this all part of Natsumi? Are him and Natsumi brothers? Because Natsumi's whole thing is I'm the cat. Are they like related? Because all these cat characters, these characters with cat-like abilities, do they all know each other? Is there a cat club that we don't know about? So we go to Fukuzawa, right? Dogs hunt dogs. Yeah, the stray dogs being hunted by the hunting dogs. I like that Fukuzawa's like, yeah, thanks. Please do. Like, I just imagine he called Mori-san being like, Mori, here's a scoop. Can you get, like, your guys to go save my dudes? Can you please? Okay, yeah, thanks. Please do as fast as you can. Okay, and Mori's like on the other end of the line being like, Fukuzawa wanted me to do something for him. Like, just, I can only imagine. Right? And then he's just like, okay, here we go. And that's when everybody bursts in. He's like, hands up, Fukuzawa. Everybody's so hateful to them. They're like, you're the enemy of the state. The end of the armed detective agency. And at this point, everybody's kind of freaked out, especially Tanizaki. He is, like I said, going through it. He is the most visibly, because he's concerned about Naomi. He's worried about her. He doesn't want her being injured. He's worried about all of them. And then I love Kenji in this moment. Kenji, who is our like worldly optimist, right? He talks about, it's like, he basically sees that they're all sad, and Kunikita's like criminals. Like Kunikita, who's this ultimate idealist, can't stand the possibility of being a criminal. And then Kenji talks about the 10-year orchard. He's like, we had this 10-year orchard that got wiped out overnight by a storm. We hadn't even harvested once. Because, yeah, the thing about an orchard is it takes years for those trees to grow before they're ready to give fruit. So, yeah, the idea that they had that orchard for 10 years, they wouldn't have been ready. So, I love that he says that we didn't even get to do the thing that we were set out to do. But, he's like, what do you think we did? We were dumbfounded. But then we just planted a new orchard. And I love that he's like a little kid with all the trees. It's so cute. And then we just rebuilt. And that was it. And I love him in the mountains there. He's like, this storm has done a really bad thing to the detective agency. But he's like, we just have to rebuild. He's like, we can't let it destroy us, right? He says, it's okay. A calamitous storm and a blessed rain are the same thing. He's like, it may be a curse, but it may also be a blessing. Like we whatever happens from this is determined upon how we take it and what we make of it. And I'm like, Kenji, I freaking love him. I love his optimism. It's not idealism. It's just pure optimism. It's like, look, we've been dealt. It's very realistic. It's like we've been dealt this bad hand. We can either wallow in it and let it just destroy us, or we can make the best of the situation and do what we got to do. I love it. I love Kunakita's like, okay, Kenji, good job. And he's like, what did he say there? I love that last line. He's like, we don't get to choose not to live on the spinning rock we call Earth. He's like, we were put here for a reason. Let's do the damn thing. Kenji! I love Kenji. I love it. I love him. I'm all here for it. Let's do this. And so they're like, the longer we wait here, the more resources they're going to have. We've got to go. My favorite part, though, is when we cut back to the hunting dogs. They're doing essentially the same thing that the Armed Detective Agency is doing. But, Jono, you're blind. Why are you handling a map? He can't see. Unless he's feeling the map and, like, feeling the ridges. Is it Braille? I don't know. I like the one girl, Okuro. She's just, like, hanging out, sitting on the table, just being a little gremlin. It's cute. And so they decide to split up, where the captains split up, and she says, which pathetic course will the starving jogs choose? Will they go by train or go by car? So her and him went by train, and Kunakita and them, they decide to go by car. But here's the thing. This is interesting. Kunakita says, we're taking a car, and they're like, why the car and not the train? And this part is interesting. Because you had two options here. You could have chosen, putting Kunakita talking about the good man thing here. They could have chosen to take the train and used it as blackmail, right? Because they could have, one option was they could have taken the train. Kunakita brings up the idea that if we take the train, there could be an accident and people could get hurt. A lesser person would have said, oh, we'll take the train and we'll use the people as hostages. We'll put them as hostages like the others were, and they won't hurt us because there's innocent civilians around. We'll make a gamble and see if they'll leave, if we can make our escape using them in between us and the hunting dogs. Would it have worked? Probably not. But a lesser person who truly was villainous probably would have gone that route because it would have gave them more of a chance to escape. But Kunakita is like, we're not going to put people in danger. We're going to escape ourselves, and we'll just be the targets. That speaks volumes for Kunakita's character, and it speaks volumes for them as a group, not even considering the train or considering the possibility of using the people on the train as hostages to get out of that situation. That, again, speaks volumes. It's fantastic. And I love that when he says that reason, it could get derailed and cause a grave accident. Many lives would be lost. That would be unacceptable. Therefore, we're taking the car. And I love that everyone agrees. And Sano says, that's good, Kunakita. This episode has done worlds for me shipping them together. I was like, I just want Kunakita to be happy. I want Yasano to be happy. Does she meet his criteria of ideals? I hope she does, because she should be checking off many a box. I mean, she likes to go drinking with him. Dude, the writing on the wall is there. You and Yasano, get that, Kunakita. She'll make sure you don't die. Oh my God. So they say, which way do we go? We'll face the enemy's ambush head on and crush them. That's how we do things. But my thing is, the enemy is not trying to ambush you. They're just trying to get out of there. That's the thing, right? And then the captain has to stretch. Teruko-kun and I will head north to the trains. Jono and Tetchao will head to the roads to the south. I like that Tetchao is like doing these stretches and these weird like handstands. And Jono's like, why are you sticking with this weirdo? And they just get ready. And he's like, we've never really talked about what would happen if we fail. So they've never had failure before. I'm just like, I'm kind of terrified by them. And then, yeah, I love that Kunakita, only Kunakita would ask someone if they have theft insurance before stealing their car. He's like, do you have theft insurance? Okay, good. Get a new car. Bye. I love that. I love that only Kunakita would do that, right? So then we have the ability of Techo as he clears all the trees, right? And Jono says he doesn't like him. He's like, I hate you the most. He's like, why did you cut all the trees down instead of avoiding them? And he says that the fastest route to the destination is the straight line. The quickest way between 2 points is indeed a straight line. So with Fukuchi, his thing is just getting literally straight to the point. Okay. I do want to, at this point, before we go any further, I do want to look up his ability on the page here. I've got it pulled up here. I just went to Plum Blossoms in the Snow, and I went to the Bungo Stray Dogs fandom, just the site page for the ability alone, not for the character, just for the ability, and I pulled up the author to the side. So we have a political novel, Plum Blossoms in Snow, which was written by Techo Suhiro in 1886. The novel became the influence of Liang Qichao's novel titled Future of a New China. Told from the perspectives of an unnamed host and an unnamed guest in 2040 Tokyo, the story follows their discussion on the power and wealth of Japan, particularly in the lives of 3 individuals, Motoi Kunino, Haru Tominaga, and Hyosoi Kawagishi, and their involvement in the politics of Japan sometime during the Meiji period. That's rather abstract. What? That doesn't relate all to swords or straight lines or... Interesting. His ability is like Gin Ichimaru's from Bleach, and hopefully Bleach has been out for like over 20 years, so hopefully if you've not watched Bleach, I'm sorry if I've spoiled things, but yeah, Gin Ichimaru, his ability is nearly exactly like his, actually. So, Techo Suhiro was born in 1849 and died in 1896, age 46. It said that he was a politician, a novelist, and a journalist. He is a proponent of the freedom and people's rights movement. He was born of samurai lineage. Okay, the samurai lineage is connected to the sword. He was the second son of the family. His father, Teisuke, was an accountant. He graduated from a local samurai school and became a teacher in 1869. He moved to Tokyo and worked for the Ministry of Finance for 6 years before going into the newspaper business. He was imprisoned twice for challenging the existing free press laws and was instrumental in forming the first national political party. He wrote a political proto-science fiction novel called Plum Blossoms in the Snow. The income from his books allowed him to travel to the United States and Europe in 1888, which around that time he became a temporary traveling companion of Filipino propagandist and patriot Jose Rizal. He would later acknowledge Rizal's influence in another novel, The Great Wave in the South Seas. In 1890, he was elected in the first national election, but was later ousted because he left the Liberal Party. Suhiro died in 1896 of tongue cancer and was buried in Ehime. Huh. So he only had his major works were Plum Blossoms in Snow and Songbirds Among Flowers. So the samurai thing ties, I guess this is the one, like Nikolai's ability in the last episode is like perfectly aligned with so much of the story. And here, the samurai lineage is really the only thing connecting to the sword. That's fine. That's cool. All right. But yeah, obviously Jono is not really, he's like only an idiot would think like that. Jono is much more of a strategist than Techo, it seems, right? Than Techo Suhiro. And he's like, let's have a meal before we engage the enemy. And he's like, you know, of everyone in our squad, I hate you the most. I love it. And he's like, why do you hate me? He says your soul is entirely lacking in artistry. Oh, interesting. So Jono is he's more into the finer things. Maybe like Chuya, maybe a little bit. Chuya likes his fancy wine and his nice music and his fancy shoes. He says you put sashimi spice on strawberries because you think similar colors pair well. He's like, that doesn't make sense. Oh. And sugar on rice. Oh. And soup base on yokons. Oh. He's like, and you're eating a boiled egg with the shell. I wish you'd just die. He's like, you're completely useless until we meet an enemy. Yeah, so he's like, I don't like you, Sam I Am. I don't like your personality. Interesting. But then he's able, like, his senses, they're so in tune where he can sense a car. I wonder if he sensed the car coming and he just jumped into the car. He didn't actually teleport into it. But then how did he get there? Meanwhile, Atsushi, our sweet tiger bean, he was like, oh, look, the police are coming. They'll help us. He doesn't know what's going on. At this point, I was a little worried about Atsushi, and I was like, how is he getting out of this? Because his foot's stuck in the ground. And at that point, when we saw 4 people in the car, I was like, where's Kyoka? And then it all adds up, right? It all makes sense. And so they're going to look after a hideout. And I like that Kenji's like immediate reaction is to punch Jono as soon as he sees him. But he's able to stop his grip. I feel like his ability, Priceless Tears, I feel like Jono's ability is that he can enhance all of his senses except sight. Like his lack of sight enhances all of his other senses. Maybe that's why he doesn't quite understand Suhiro, because he's like, your food and taste, it's all, the taste buds you have are all wrong. Can't you taste the finer things? I feel like maybe they're elevated and that's why he's saying that. But man, the ADA saving each other, right? You have Kenji saving Takahiko. You have Kunikita coming back and saying his ideals won't let them get left behind. You have Yusano, like, they're all saving each other. The power of the Nakama. Oh, man. I like there's a deer crossing sign right there on the road. I'm not used to seeing Japan with deer crossing signs. They all have swords, but I don't think hardly any of them use them. He's like, illusions don't work on me because he's blind. He won't see them. I let you catch me on purpose. And then this guy's like, I'm going to use my sword to get you. And I just love Kunikita coming back. If you've watched Attack on Titan, we have Jean, we have Reiner, and we have Eren. All their voice actors in the same scene. And we technically have Flock in this show. So it's just, I'm like on cloud 9, right? I freaking love it. But yeah, Kyoka shows up and she basically gives Atsushi the debrief. She's so well animated in this. Technically, all of them are animated gorgeously in this episode. But Kyoka is just like, she looks beautiful. I love her design. I love how sparkly her eyes are. And she knocked them unconscious and tells Atsushi that things are bad and that they gotta get out. But they can't go anywhere. They're stuck in the building. So maybe they're gonna go investigate Nikolai. Maybe Octagawa's gonna find them. Gin, maybe. I don't know. I love Kenji grabbing onto the side of the car. And then, so Kunikita knows who they are. He says this couldn't get any worse. They're the hunting dogs, the formidable squad of the military police. Their bodies have been augmented by gifted experts. So are they naturally gifted or have they been given these abilities? That's interesting. The idea that they've been augmented means they've been experimented on. So they're kind of like gifted Nomu, maybe. But does that mean that their gifts have been tampered with? Interesting. Or maybe they weren't gifted and they were given these gifts, and that would actually kind of make more sense. I don't know if that's the case, but if they were given these gifts, that would kind of make sense with Jono, who lost his sight but was able to gain all these other gifted abilities. It would make sense. The idea of augmenting people's bodies to give them gifts, or maybe they were augmented to enhance the gifts they already had. I guess, perhaps. Suhiro's is interesting, where his sword just literally can reach anything with the plum blossoms. His sword can touch anything. And then Yasano protecting him. And yeah, they all get cut. And he said he's going to decapitate. He's going to decapitate Yasano. And Kunikita, the idea that the Doppo poet, it gets cut. His blade's long enough to reach a fleeing car. I don't like the Dappa poet that his notebook gets slashed. I don't like that. And then he says, first decapitate the doctor. We can't have her healing her buddies. And they said, besides, she's an angel of death. So that's curious. They say that, one, we can't have her healing her friends, but also she's an angel of death. So clearly we have Yasano backstory that we're going to have to get to at some point. I'm excited for that. Oh, the world's better off without her. You know, I wonder, we've talked about her and Mori knowing each other. They both kind of look similar, so maybe there's something there. If her and Mori were related, that would be amazing. But I doubt they are, but I feel like they know each other. But him saying the world's better off without her. And Kunikita just defending her. My shipper heart could not grow any bigger. Where he's like asking not to kill her and saying they'll turn themselves in. And he's like, you're relieved because he's like, I read up on you. Your ideals are as lofty and large as a hot air balloon. And so he's like, I'm happy for you, Kunikita-san. Starting tomorrow, you're free from your ideals because you won't have to worry about them anymore. Oh my, and the blade like goes around him. That is a little different than Gin. But poor Yasano. And then I'm so here for it. The gravity manipulation. I love it. And knocking him off, knocking the blade off keel. And he's like, hypersonic countermeasures. But I didn't hear gunfire. Nope. And then the chopper. You fucked up detective agency. I'm like, we're fully a Seiren now. We're just dropping F-bombs. It's fine. It's Chuya. Let him go. Let him do it. Yasano looks gorgeous there with her hair. Oh my god. And then Chuya. Just looking like a badass. Like, I'm here to save your asses on boss's orders. I'm like, but he can't use, like, the Tainted Sorrow because Dazai's not there. So, I guess, his gravity powers are a problem enough as is. I like Chuya's like, I'm getting a bunch of wine for doing this. So, hey-o. He's like, also, I'm going to ask this white-haired guy where Dazai is. Not that I want to know. I hate him. But, my God. Y'all. This episode is really, really good. I love Chuya showing up. Just fabulous. Absolutely wonderful. All here for it. Can't believe it. Just stellar. I'm a really big fan of this episode. Obviously, we have lots of questions of what characters are going to do. Everybody split up. We've got Chuya with these two of the four and them. We obviously don't know where Okuro and Fukuchi are going to go. We have Fukuzawa and Fukuchi. And then Rampo, we don't know what's happening with him. Atsushi and Kyoka are together. We don't know where they're going to go. Dazai's somewhere else. So, just lots of questions, right? Lots of questions. But I'm really excited to find out. So if you all want to talk about spoilers, please spoiler tag, Black Box in the Discord. Have fun. But without spoiling, I am curious to know your thoughts down below because this episode and the last episode have been wild. So I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe. Take care. But yeah, I'm excited, y'all, and I hope y'all have a wonderful week. And I'll be back very soon with more Bungo Stray Dogs.